Oh yeah, nah, this is Rousey's Wrexham Roundup. She'll be right, mate. Hello, g'day, welcome to Rousey's Wrexham Roundup. We are back for another week. Yes, I know we've been gone 2 weeks. That's because we're just spreading things out a little bit. Not a lot going on in the off season. Well, there is a little bit going on. We've had the TST, we've had some spicy little transfer rumors and all that sort of stuff, and the new pitch going in. A lot of stuff happening around the club, but can we talk about that for about an hour and a half every single week? Probably not. But I'm back with my host, my co-host, Simon, aka Cryptic Construct. How are you, mate?
G'day, mate. Good, good. I've got them all spread out down under as well. You know, you got to make sure, got to keep them separated.
Oh, mate, we got a good one today. Got a good one. We got another guest. Another guest. So it's not going to be just us. It's got so we are got two guests. Yeah, well,
Two
he's
for
on it.
one.
I tell you what, this new co-host of mine keeps me honest. I tell you what, got to respect the old age.
Respect the grey.
Respect the grey. So we've got Mike and John Roberts on the show today from York Lane. Our Australian listeners, if you've been watching the project, if you've been watching news or whatever it is, they're all on there. Been talking about their bar, but it is the Wrexham place to be if you're coming down below. And for the Wrexham tour, I know Simon. I should probably just call you Cryptic, but I kind of like the name Simon. Simon says,
Either or, mate.
um, you're going to
I'll be in
Melbourne,
Melbourne. I'll
and
be in Melbourne,
I'm
mate.
going to
Yep.
Sydney. So I get to see these boys in the flesh.
That should satisfy the court ruling that we not be within, 600 mile of each other. We should be safe on that, I
Yeah.
think.
All right. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, I mean, I could always just sneak out there, but but no. So you get the first one, and I get the second one. So it's going to be interesting. They'll be playing Sydney FC, and yeah, York Lane is amazing. Like the whole place is. We've had them on the show before. They're quite knowledgeable. They know Wrexham pretty well, and they're a real treat to talk to. So I think what we'll do is we'll get them on, and we'll have a good little chinwag, and we will talk all things Wrexham and the Down Under Tour because I don't think any other podcast has really spoken in depth about what we've got. So, I mean, we've got a few teams. We've got Sydney FC, we've got Wellington, and we've got Melbourne Victory. Yeah. So, it could be a boring episode for you.
But
As
if
boring
you've
as the
got,
A-League is, but anyway.
if you're
Um,
red down under, we've got you covered.
yes, that's right. We got you covered. If you're a red down under, this is the one to watch. We're going to break down everything about Sydney as much as we can about Melbourne, but these guys are from Sydney. They are from York Lane. That's about 15 minutes from the ground from Allianz Stadium, and they are an absolute hoot. So after the break, let's get into it, guys. Let us know what you think about today's episodes. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you want to become a Patreon, links in the description down below. And but we'll talk more about that at the end. Anyway, on to the show. Let's go. Simon says.
Edit.
Oh yeah, nah, this is Rousey's Wrexham Roundup. She'll be right, mate. All right, g'day. Welcome to Rousey's Wrexham Roundup. I've had these boys on the show before, and I loved every second of it. It's back in the days when I had Adrian on. I think even back then might have been our first name, which was like Two Beards a Podcast and Wrexham AFC or something. So
Yeah.
it's crazy how things evolve online. But with Wrexham coming to Australia, this episode is all about Wrexham coming to Australia. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive and also basically advertise York Lane, which is going to be the place to be. If you want to, if you're a Wrexham fan, if you're a Wrexham fan in Australia or around the world, York Lane, it will be the place to be. and I've got the two boys, Mike and John. Welcome back to the show, guys. How are you?
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, all good. Cheers, mate.
Good to
How
be
about
back.
yourself?
It's good to
reckon
have you
Simon
guys
needs a
back
beard.
on. It was a good show last time. It was our
good
first
one.
ever show that broke 500 views. Having you guys on.
That was me and Mike just pressing repeat, though, I think. But
Yeah.
I'm
We
just
got lots
going
of
with-
friends.
I'm just liking how we got the Greys on one side and the other people without it on the other side. So we're keeping it.
Oh, whoa. Come on.
If you're going to
Fine.
razz on the beard, I just, like, me and
wasn't
Mike,
me.
we're going to stick together.
If I knew there was a beard involved, I wouldn't have shaved this afternoon.
This takes a bit of work to get. You know?
Yeah. I'm not quite Ryan Giggs. I can't grow it in 30 minutes, but
Well, guys, so we'll start off York Lane. Let's talk about York Lane. So obviously we know Wrexham will be in Sydney on the 14th, 13th of July? 14th of July? No, 15th.
15th. Yeah.
You think I would know that, but yeah, no. I will
This is
be
Aussie
there.
time, not Wrexham time, all right? Got to get it right.
So I will be there, and I'll be coming to see you guys at York Lane. I'm really looking forward to that as well. So actually getting to see you guys in person. But let's start with York Lane. Tell me about York Lane and why it's the place to be for Wrexham.
Well, I think, Mike, you've got this. You've got the pitch on this one.
I got the pitch. All right. So, well, York Lane is a very eclectic place in Sydney. And it basically started off with I was going to this bar. It's actually a coffee shop in the morning, but it turns into a pub and a bar from about lunchtime, sometimes even 11:30, depending on how rough the day is. And it started a little laneway above the main station in Sydney. And started off, I was going there and I saw this sign outside, and it had the sign said, believe. And I thought, oh, that's the Ted Lasso thing. And I had a chat to Dieter, the guy that runs it. And I tell you what, if you ever want to meet a character, this is a character, Dieter. It's well worth going just to meet Dieter. Ex MotoGP rider and bike rider, etc. And anyway, I said, look, this would be a great place to make, a little Wrexham home away from home. It's next to the station. It's a great place to have either a coffee or a wine or a beer. And anyway, Dieter, I caught him on a good day and he thought it was a good idea. And we put a little visitors book in there and started on the social media talking about anybody coming to Wrexham drop in. And we've now had hundreds of visitors from Wrexham come to the bar. John and I are the unofficial, we're not allowed to call ourselves official, unofficial supporters club of Sydney, and we have our coffees and beers, etc. at York Lane as well. And it's just become an amazing little place that attracts a lot of people, including Swindon Town's owner, Clem, who also goes there. And it's a fantastic little place. And we can't wait to welcome all the Wrexham supporters they're coming from far and wide, I can assure you, from all over even the Australian supporters, all from all over New South Wales, but we're hearing people from Wrexham itself. It is going to be a fun day throughout. In fact, the 3 or 4 days before the game, we're expecting people to start dribbling and coming through. And on game day, I'm expecting quite a crowd, and it's going to be great meeting all the people that we've been chatting to online, and Chris and Simon, it'd be great to catch up with you guys as well. So it's going to be the place to be.
Unfortunately for me,
as well, Mike, that Wrexham Lager have got caught wind of the place as well. So for people who have never had the chance to have Wrexham Lager that are going to be coming over, that is served in the bar as well. So
my favourite lager. It's my favourite lager. I've had it. It is amazing, and I think that was really good when it came to Australia. I was like, yes, I was straight on it. The first day we got wind of it. It was like, it's down at Dan Murphy's. Damn it, we're going. Yep. And we got deep into Dan Murphy's, and I think a few more people had gotten wind of it because they didn't get a lot of stock and there wasn't a lot left, and I managed to grab the last case of it, and I was like, yeah, got my Wrexham lager on, posted a proud picture on Facebook. I'm like, yay.
And in fact, beyond that, Chris, I forgot to say that the official launch of Wrexham Lager was done at York Lane, and it was put on most of the major Australian TV networks, and we even made the BBC as well, and the Wrexham newspaper in Wrexham. So York Lane's now got a bit of a name for itself.
You know
globally.
what, Mike? You are Australia's Wayne.
Yeah.
I think Dieter is Australia's Wayne. Wait till you meet Dieter.
Mike's a little bit more positive than Wayne. I think Wayne is a hardened Wrexham supporter where you're always expecting something wrong around the corner. You know, like just as you're getting those highs, you temper it a little bit. But the first time I met Mike, it's amazing. You know, like Mike's story is amazing, and Chris, we've talked about that in the past and stuff. And it's like, well, I lived it until 2006 before I moved over to Australia, and it's like, it's hard work. You know, it's really hard work, and it's even, you know, like it takes a bigger lunatic the other side of the world to support the club than it does being local. You can walk away, but the dedication that Mike's shown and the enthusiasm that Dieter's had since, you know, like Dieter's adopted the club, hasn't he, Mike? He's across everything, and he knows everything. It's great, you know. And we were talking before the offline sort of thing about never in our wildest dreams, and I think I can speak for Mike as well, never in our wildest dreams did we ever think that Wrexham would be in the division they are now, looking back 3 or 4 years, and definitely didn't think that we'd be touring America and Australia and getting impressive crowds. You know, like that was reserved for the Chelseas and the Man Uniteds in the past of the world. And now little old Wrexham is punching above its weight, and luckily everyone's loving it. You know, well, most people are loving it. Maybe not the opposition fans in certain teams, but we've certainly done the hard yards to be where we are today, which is fantastic.
And talking about Wayne, it's a good segue. So Dieter has a bromance with Wayne. They chat online, and Dieter sent, and we've got some shirts made in York Lane called "It's Always Sunny in York Lane," which is a reference, obviously, to "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia." And I know that Dieter sent Wayne over a box of these shirts. "It's Always Sunny in York Lane." So there are photos around of Wayne in the turf wearing the shirts that Dieter has sent him from York Lane. So there's a bit of a thing there going with the turf, and I don't know whether Wayne will see this or he remembers, but when he first started in 2009 in the turf, I remember I've told a story before about how I went over one year in 2009 and there was 8 games in a row postponed. Guess where I was when they were postponed? Playing snooker with Wayne in the turf with my 2 sons, crying because I had to leave Wrexham after 8 games where I hadn't seen them play. So I don't know whether he remembers that, but I bloody do. And so Wayne's a bit of a legend in to me as well, and there is a big link there. We like to think there's a link between the turf and York Lane.
So did you beat him, or how did the snooker end up?
I can't remember whether we did or we didn't, to be honest. But let's say I'll back myself.
You probably still owes you 20 quid, I'm sure.
Well, surely, Mike, it's the reverse leg if he comes over to Australia. It's the reverse leg.
We got one problem. We don't have a snooker table in York Lane.
Can you set up a table tennis down in the lane?
Let's get it out there. Any Australian companies out there that want to put a pool table right in the middle of York Lane, let's get it done.
It might be better in the laneway, I think.
There you go.
I think it would be. I think it's going to be a hell of a time. And I think, you know, we look back at when you guys were first on the program here, and you know, we only had about maybe 300 or 400 subscribers at the time, and we're thinking, even back then, we had no idea where Wrexham were going to end up or where they're going to go, and now they're going to be here in Australia, and they're in the championship. I mean, that's got to just be a total spin out. I mean, it still hasn't sunk in for me. And the fixtures are due to be released here in about 20 days' time. Just before, isn't it?
Just before the matches start, just before they come out, the fixtures are released. So it's going to be an interesting.
It's going to be great. And what I still can't believe is I've been talking Wrexham since I came out when I was 10 years old. So everybody said, oh, what's this bloody team you'll be talking about for years after year after year? But the number of people now, when I mention the game, they're going, oh, I'm going to that. I'm interested in that. I follow Wrexham. I was at a trivia night the other night with someone I played trivia with for years, and they actually have a Wrexham shirt and a season ticket, even though they can't go. Like when I say season ticket, remember. And I said, what, you follow Wrexham? Yeah, I follow Wrexham. There's so many people I bump into are now interested in Wrexham, which
I
is
wonder
surreal.
how many people are going to be sleep deprived down under because of Wrexham. I mean, we're up 2 o'clock on Saturday. Rousey's all right. He's over in Perth at normal, slightly normal hours. But our poor New Zealand cousins as well, they're getting up at 4 a.m. for these midweek matches. They're taking years. They're turning me grey. I had a hair like Rousey before.
It's going to get worse this year because they film every single game in the championship. So we've got the whole. They got every single week. It's going to be fantastic.
The worst thing, if you're a diehard fan like we all seem to be on the podcast, is you can't watch delayed highlights.
No.
I know I've had arguments with my missus and friends going, oh, well, just don't look at the result. No, I can't.
No,
I can't do that. I've got to stay up. And equally, if you lose in the middle of the night, middle of the night, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, or whatever Sydney time, you're just there going, why the hell did I do that? Like I've got good friends, and I think Simon, you talked about it, that you did a bit of traveling to the away games and stuff. These people do the hard yards of living in Wrexham and going to the away games. If you win, you float home. It's great. No matter how long the trip is, how many delays you've had along the way, how many times you have to stop the bus because someone needs to get off to go for a piss in the corner or whatever it might be. If you win, it's fine. If you lose, it is the longest journey home. Equally, if you're watching the games over here, if you lose, like I've learned to temper wins and losses when I go to bed finally, and it's only in the morning where I'm asked win or lose, but it was justified or whatever it is. It's like I'm over it now. I'm okay again. I'm never watching him again until Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning. And you do the same again. It's like it's the act of stupidity that every crazy fan can do.
But getting back to York Lane, it's just going to be surreal and fantastic. There are so many people that I've talked to on social media, and there are a lot of Aussie fans. I know particularly people coming in from Cairns, they're coming in from the Hunter Valley, they're coming in from all over New South Wales. It is going to be absolutely brilliant meeting all of these people. And Chris, you're coming down. You're coming as well, so you're going to be there. There's going to be all these people that really only know each other through social media. These are just Australians. Forget about the people who are coming from Wales. There's going to be a lot of stories, a lot of beers, a lot of wines. It's just going to be a fantastic day. I'm going to be exhausted before the game, I think, because I'll probably get there, mid-morning. And we're not saying everybody's going to be there for 5 hours, but I think we're going to get a really solid group of people coming through all day. And it's going to be, amazing. And
so have you got Wrexham Lager on tap?
No, it's not on tap. It's in the bottles. Yeah.
Well, I'll be drinking a hell of a lot.
I can assure you, there's plenty of them.
How much is a stubby?
They've got the Wrexham Lager stubbies yet, have they? Or
I don't know. No, they're just bottles.
Well, I don't know. If you're drinking it quick enough, you don't need a stubby holder. Yeah. Not that I'm promoting any alcohol abuse there, of course.
No, we promote that on this show. We don't give shit, so it's all right. You can drink.
And do you need to warm it up? Like, do you have to warm it up?
Just bring your own straw then. Go.
Yeah.
I'll just have a straw connected right into the bar.
Actually, so many Wrexham.
The bucket hats with the straws off the top of it.
One of the funny things in the bar at the moment is due to the Wrexham Lager promotion, they gave him. There's so many boxes of Wrexham Lager, you can hardly get in the place for them. But hopefully by the end of the day, they'll all be empty. So.
That would explain why he was being kind to me the other week, Mike. He was there going, do you want to take a case back? And it's like, well, I've got to go back to work first.
Well, I got to admit, it's my favourite drink, right? So whatever you've got there at the moment, right, I will drink that. And then so get what you have there, double it. So that way what you've got there now, I can drink it, right?
Okay. There's the challenge.
All right. But I'll tell you what I'm interested in is your all-day breakfasts. What would you recommend a big boy like me has at an all-day? I am going to be ordering an all-day breakfast, so it's one of my favorite things. What would you recommend?
What do you reckon, John?
Does it include black pudding?
I've not actually done the all day breakfast. Like, I'm actually more of a cheese and bacon roll. I do enjoy an all day breakfast, but I still think the UK or Wales does better. And any sort of green on an all day breakfast is just a red card offense.
Well, okay, Smash Davo is out.
No, that's still green. No.
I'm going to say that although they do have decent breakfasts, they're probably not known for their cuisine. They're known for their Wrexham lager and their Wrexham supporters and the banter.
And the coffee. The coffees are good. The coffees are good.
Coffees are great. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a bit of a ham and cheese croissant man myself. When I go there, but
you changed, Mike. A Queen's Park lad would never say that.
No. I have been here 50 odd years, mate.
I'm eyeing off either a sauerkraut sanger or a breakfast burger. I'm looking at your menu on your website right now, so I think one of those will be going straight in the gullet for me.
Breakfast burger sounds like a go, I think.
Yeah. It sounds like I need to warn Dita to order a bit more than normal then.
Definitely bring it on.
And certainly the girls behind the bar, mate, they're great fun.
I look forward to it. It's going to be so much fun just to actually be there, see you.
It's a very cozy place. You're going to love it.
It's pretty cool as well. Like if you look, he's got some turntables there, so I'm not sure on the weekends. Mike, does he have not live music, but there's a DJ sort of thing that plays?
Yeah, he has DJs in there, and
maybe maybe for the Wrexham thing, that's something that you might be looking to do as well. So it's a bit of fun and banter, get the crowds in, and especially if we do get, which will hopefully be the case, people coming through, supporters of the club and supporter of the place itself. It's going to attract more, isn't it? If you've got some good tunes coming out of the speakers and stuff like that, it's just going to be a great place to have a good.
Do you have a dark, shadowy corner for me?
What was that? Sorry, Chris.
Do you have a dark, shadowy corner for me?
Atmospheric.
The funny thing about the bar, though, is that the laneway itself creates its own ambience, and we actually recently, when we had the Wrexham Lager launch, we actually had to stop people coming because we weren't allowed to have more than next number, but they didn't hear, and we got all these people we had the Dubai Reds from the Middle East. We had about 15 of us in the laneway, and it's the best rendition of Wrexham I've ever heard. You could hear it all over Sydney because it's a beautiful laneway that just all the noise bounces off. So we hope a few people stand outside, and there might be a little bit of singing practice before we actually go to the game as well. That's what I'm hoping will happen anyway.
I'll get something started.
I'm disappointed I'm only going to be in Melbourne and not Sydney. That sounds like fun.
I'm telling you, Cryptic, it's the place to be, mate. Sydney.
Mate,
this is all over Melbourne.
It'll get its own atmosphere. It's a good little spot.
Yeah. No matter where we go, we'll be heard, though. So don't worry, Simon. I'm sure there'll be some coordination of Wrexham supporters down in Melbourne, and we'll make ourselves known down there as well.
Oh, yes.
Both games.
I've got 6 going to Melbourne, and he's got a few, and someone else is. So we'll get a few at a pub down there somewhere.
And I think like New Zealand as well. They've got that great Welsh bar down in Wellington. I'm not sure if you guys have been to it. Like I've been to it a couple of times, and it's a great location with Wrexham Lager beer, and it's also got Brains beer, which is a South Wales beer. It's not on tap. I think it's on a bottle like Wrexham, but it's just a great place. I've been there for the rugby in the past, but it's one of those that if you're Welsh, to go there, and I'm sure it's just going to be mini Wrexham for the game over there as well.
Yeah, my brand new passport has one travel stamp, and that was Wrexham, the one place I wanted to go. Haven't had any care to go anywhere else in the world apart from Wrexham.
So, which pub did you go to apart from the turf?
Apart from the turf, the horse and jockey.
Horse and jockey.
The Mad Monk.
Is that where you banged your head? You said, was it?
No, that was
got a straw roof.
The parish. Yeah. And a very low roof, but no, that wasn't where I smacked my head. I saw the Declan Swans at the parish, and after that gig I I had a little bit too much to drink and ended up smacking my head. Did the Seth Serin as well and Jordan Davies pub.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Don't
did
know that
a
one,
did,
but, yeah.
not
Did
the
you go to the
Mice
Mice Gwyn that's across the roof?
Yeah, didn't get into the Mice Gwyn at all. No, Jordan Davies, it's out of town. He's got a nice big venue out there. And for the life of me, I can't think of the name of it. But there's certainly more to go that I didn't get to. That I will be hitting it when I get back there in March or April next year.
Is it Hope Street Social?
The Hill Street Social.
Hill Street, that's it.
Hill Street,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I got some great coffee at Bank Street Social, but the Hill Street Social, no, that every time I went was shut. Oh no, next time. So
no, they were out of beer, Simon. They weren't shut. They were out of beer, surely.
They were out of beer, yeah. So I want to do the crisp butty on the Friday night. They get free crisp butties. So right.
It's a rite of passage, that is.
Yeah.
We should do something like that at York Lane. Just give away crisp buddies. That might be an idea.
Well, they were for the promotion a few weeks back. If you were going to sing the Wrexham Lager song, you got a free beer. Again, a little bit of not maybe sensible promotion of alcohol. I'm not sure, but
no, we don't want to send you guys broke. We want everyone to pay their way and honour the legendary status that York Lane is in Sydney, and it will be the place to be. If fans were to get to York Lane, how would they go from York Lane to Allianz Stadium?
So you got a 5-minute walk from York Lane to George Street, and there is then we call it light rail, but I think in Melbourne they call them trams, and it will go straight to the ground. And it would be 30 minutes maybe on the tram, straight to the ground. So you get a 5-minute walk and then hop on the tram in the main street, straight to the ground. So you give yourself walking and the tram, say 40 minutes. And you're there.
but more importantly, like along the way, there is plenty of pubs to find as well. So if you want to hop on and hop off, you can do that as well. But it does cost each time you drop, hop on, hop off the tram, or light rail. But there's definitely plenty of options in between York Lane, which hopefully will be the starting point for a lot of people, up to the ground. It depends what you're there for, but if you like a few beers and a few different bits of food, it's all through Surrey Hills, all the way through, so you can just drop off the train and have a bite to eat on the way up, and you get to the ground after, like Mike says, about 30 minutes or so.
Looking forward to it. It's a place to be. York Lane. I'll probably be there sometime after lunch anyway. So, and it's great to see you guys going strong. I mean, you guys are on the project on BBC.
How did you manage to get them, Rousey? How did you get these two mega superstar worldwide booking agent, must have 1 million booking for them people?
No idea, mate. Just
see, we were on his podcast. That was the first thing we ever did. So we owe him.
But we're not paying commission.
He discovered us.
Chris, you can say you knew us before we were famous.
I can, yes.
Yeah.
I just realised that. Here we go. All right. It was all me.
It's been awesome. I think it's fair to say that luckily everything, for every Wrexham supporter that supported the club before Rob and Ryan joined, when we had Rob and Ryan join, we were so worried when you heard there was going to be a documentary series about the club that everything. It could be tongue-in-cheek. It could be one of those that supporters, no matter what sport and what team you support, they can be fanatical and they can be crazy people, and it attracts a lot of eclectic people into the mix. And I think the worry was that if you know Wrexham, and Wrexham's a bit like, I wouldn't change anything where I'm from. I'm from Wrexham originally, just outside the town. But there's always the worry that there can be something that ridicules you as the club or you as the team. And luckily, the documentary on Disney has definitely not done that. It's shown what is true about the community, and it's reflective of a lot of communities, not only in the UK but around the world. And that's what's made it so popular, I think, is it's relatable. It's not about liking a soccer team. It's not like supporting Wrexham. It could be your team. This happens to be, luckily enough, our team. And then all the podcasts that have popped up, including yourself, Chris, it's people who really understand it. You know, it's relatable, and you've made it relatable, as opposed to tongue-in-cheek poking at the craziness of us getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch a team in non-league, Division 5 of English football, watching a team maybe lose a lot of games and then suddenly winning games. It's luckily everything has been done the right way, and there are the quirkiness of a lot of people, but luckily it's not taken away from the fact that everyone is relatable. There's nothing elitist about us as a town or us as a club.
No,
and it's luckily.
I don't know. I want to know when that. Now we've been following Wrexham for so many years, from the days of non-league. When can we start calling all these new fans jumping on board in the championship the bandwagon jumpers?
I know they can jump on as much as they want. They're more than welcome. Like I think I said on the podcast a few years back that me and mates, so one of them is Baz, who's coming across from the UK. We used to sit around having beers in the Wrexham Lager Club, actually, going, why can't we be like the Fulhams of the world when Al Fayed bought the club there? Wigan Athletic had a big money injection. Blackburn Rovers had Jack Walker with all his money. Why is it never us? What can we do to make us, to someone be interested in us to start with? But then how do we promote people to want to support us? Because we're still realistic. I think it's fair to say most Wrexham supporters will say, we're never going to be the Liverpools of the world. We're never going to be the Chelseas, the Man Uniteds, the Arsenals. And that's understandable. That's fair enough. But like Rob had said, we want them to be the second team that you think of. And it's been done the right way. It's been promoted the right way. Like, luckily, the players they brought in, at the moment, there's no ego. There's no problematic players that you suddenly really hate because of off-field antics or whatever it might be. And everyone that they've shown in the shows are the right people. There's going to be rogue elements, and there always is in supporter bases. And there's people that want Parky out after he's got 4 promotions. Like 80+ points every season, and they still think it's not good enough.
But they could get Ange now. Now Ange is looking for a job.
God!
No, not for me.
Don't start on that. That is just devastating. I mean, Tottenham. Okay, sorry guys. Tottenham, right? Are the biggest, dumbest fucking idiots you could ever come across. I mean, how they get rid of Ange Postecoglou, who won a title for Tottenham in the first time in 17 years. Yes, they had a shit fucking Premier League run, but they had so many injuries. But he took that team and won the bloody Europa League, and they go get rid of him. I mean, of all the most idiotic fucking things I've ever seen in my life, it's that. Sorry, guys. I just had to
well, here's the thing for you, Chris. There'll be a guy at your playing. Chances are, I'm pretty sure I'm going to invite him. I'm pretty sure he'll come. And he's one of Ange's best mates. And you might have heard of him, Paul Wade, who used to be captain of Australia.
Yeah.
So he played with Ange for years and years. One of his best mates. Chances are you can take that up with Wadey, because he'll probably be there, mate.
I just fume. I couldn't believe it. Like, having an Aussie coach a Premier League side, that was big as it is, but for them to go and do that is just.
But they've had six managers in 7 years, haven't they? So it's not Ange, it's the boss.
It makes me.
But that is it Levi or something? He's done it time after time. He even sacked Mourinho after winning. So
they got to a final, and he sacked him a week before the final. So it's like this dude's a straight up just dead shit. You know what? I haven't bought out Numpty of the Week in a while, so this Levi dude fucking Numpty of the Week.
Shows you, though, how lucky Wrexham are to get the owners that they've got, who have the money, who have some cachet, but who aren't dickheads, and are letting the football people run the football club.
Yeah.
Well, nothing has ever, I've never, and we all know this, nothing has ever happened in the way that Wrexham's been taken over. Never. Because, and the accountability, they've set up their own accountability through the show, because they are showing what they're doing and what they're promising in the Welcome to Wrexham show. It is, there's no backing out. This is they've got to go in there for the full tilt, and it's a very, very clever thing to do. And I just can't believe that people like John and I, who supported this team all our lives, are probably some of the greatest beneficiaries from it. That's why we can't believe what's happening. But I've got to the stage now that when someone says, "Do you think this can happen?" I go, "Yeah, anything can happen." Because to get where we've got from where we were, there's nothing to stop us keeping going, because I can't believe what we've already done. It's stunning. You know,
I must admit, last year I was sort of doubtful
stunning.
and didn't want them to reach the Premier League, but it looks like they can do it in a successful and sustainable manner. They got the Allianz on board. If they can get somebody else on board, similar ilk, no reason why not go and play with the Petro States.
You know, that actually brings up a good point, Cryptic, because it's when you think about it, Wrexham are doing it differently. And I was looking at their finances and stuff, and their League Two finances, which they just released previously, they had the biggest budget wage bill of anyone, but the least amount. So they're 41% of their overall turnover. No other team's done that.
Yeah,
none.
But that's because of the turnover. Our turnover is massive because and a lot of it, A, the documentary, but B, this is the other funny thing: 80% of the turnover is from overseas. It's the US,
America.
So that is so clever. And the wage bills are now based on turnover. So the more money that America spends and buys shirts, the more successful we're going to be. And so already we can have one of the biggest wage bills, apart from the parachute payment clubs. We're going to have one of the potentially the biggest budget. So that's
why I'm really
Wrexham
hopeful.
supporters can't get their head around that.
I think
I'm hopeful.
I was having to think.
League One. Sorry, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was having to think about it the other day. Right, when the Wrexham Supporters Trust bought the club from Alexander fucking Hamilton, they were able to get it for $1, £1. Sorry,
£1. He bought it for £1. Yeah,
bought it for £1, right? Wrexham today are now valued. They're testing the investment market in the US for $500 million, from £1 to $500 million. Like, what the fuck?
What does Trump's tariff do to that, though? That's the question.
It is amazing. And a stat that I saw the other day, actually saw it at the end of last season, it was the number of Facebook followers each club had. Now, it was when they were in the old second division, which is after they got out of what I used to call the tin pot kettle league. So we got into the football league. And the average number of Facebook followers for a team in Division 2 was 40,000. Wrexham, 1.2 million.
That was wasn't it?
That is amazing. That's how many supporters or people on Facebook follow Wrexham.
Wasn't it the social media ping as well after the Notts County game with Ben Foster saving the penalty that weekend? Was it Arsenal Liverpool or something? And it was Real Madrid Barcelona or whatever. And on Twitter, as it was X now, we had one of the biggest social media footprints and trendings in that particular game, which I know. I was going nuts watching that game. It was just a surreal game because it was never such a perfect Wrexham moment of looking to have won a game and then have a penalty conceded at the last minute to take everything away from the club. Like, it's stupid to say, but if Wrexham have done that so many times and they've shot themselves in the foot somehow. Like they've missed out on playoffs because of goal difference or conceded in the last minute and lost a game, whatever it might be. And it's like, this has happened again. And then, that changed everything. We had some incredible games that season to get out of non-league that season. But going through them all, like it's just impressive how much interest there is. Like, will it change in the Championship with interest when we're losing? Because we're going to lose games. There's big teams like in League One. There were big teams like Birmingham City, Charlton, Huddersfield. These teams have been in the Premiership 5-6 years ago, not long ago. And we, if you look at it, we didn't actually play that well this season, but luckily chipped away and got in the right end of the table at the start of the season, and we just had that. We survived the end of the season better than Wickham. It is essentially what happened. Birmingham blew everyone away. Birmingham theoretically were always going to do that with the wage opportunities that they had.
Blackpool and Charlton, I wouldn't say we survived Blackpool and Charlton. I think we stamped authority. I think we stamped authority.
I was there for the Blackpool game in Wrexham on Boxing Day, and the documentary doesn't do the fog justice of how thick it was, because we were at the opposite end in the four the Four Walls whiskey stand, as it was, the bleacher stand. It's going to be the new Cop. You couldn't see beyond halfway. The only reason we knew Blackpool scored was because you could hear the opposition supporters cheering. It was that thick. It was nuts. Which is great about football. Like, you have games and you have grounds that can happen to. But yeah, those teams are. We've like Charlton, the last game, the promotion game. We deserved that win. Like, we dominated them.
Yeah.
You Simon, you went to the game in Charlton. I think we rode our luck a little bit there, and I think we still play a little bit with the little boys in the big league against the bigger teams. And now we're in the Championship. We need to sort of shake that off very quickly. Like, there's teams that are beatable, and there's teams where you're going to think, like away at Middlesbrough is one of the longest trips you're going to have to do as a Wrexham supporter to one of the most hostile environments because of just the nature of the fanatical support they have up there. Getting a draw in Middlesbrough in the middle of December, if the game is in the middle of December, is a win, because it's going to be that -50. It's just going to be insane. But Portsmouth fans, like, I went to university in Portsmouth, they're mental. They are proper mental, fanatical, just as Millwall are. Those games are going to be incredibly hostile, which is going to be very different to what we've experienced over the last few years. Like Shrewsbury's asides, the Chesters in the past, those are hostile environments in a small grounds. This is going to be completely different, and it's how
I'm going to make an observation here, and I'm part of this. John's Welsh from Wrexham. I am as well, but I've lived 54 years in Australia. And the difference between John and I is John's lived there a lot longer than I have, and it's totally understandable, but the average Wrexham supporter doesn't trust the next 5 seconds at all. I am a bit, because I've spent a bit more time out here, and I understand it, because for 134 years they've been shit. And if anything can go wrong, it did. All right. And I'll give you an example, even I can remember. In 1976, we were in the old division. Well, it's now what's Division 2, so we could have got to the Championship. In 1976, there were 3 games to go, and we were 9 points ahead of every team, and we never got promoted. Righto. So it was like we'd never lost all season at home. We lost our last 2 home games of the season, hit the post, bounced out, never went up. That's Wrexham. Having said that, the next year they won 7-1 to go up. But the things that they've done throughout their history to stuff things up, and I still see it in John. I remember a couple of weeks ago near the end of the season, I said, mate, they're going to go up. And he said, don't say that. You're going to do it. And he got really stressed. And that's probably the only difference between John and I. He said to me before, Mike's a bit positive. And it's like, you can't be positive if you come from Wrexham, right? And it's true, because historically, I've always been like that. But now my Aussie personality's come through and said, you know what, we're going to do this. I've started to change my belief in what Wrexham's all about. But John's lived it a bit more than me, and it must be amazing to try and believe that this can
turn around the mindset.
I totally know where he's coming from.
Well,
but doing a Wrexham now is a late goal,
winner. If you look on the BBC website now, it's surreal. I'm no longer going to get RSI from scrolling really far down to get to Wrexham in the sort of all teams layout, because it's actually higher up. So it's only half a scroll as opposed to a full scroll and things like that. But you're there thinking, okay, what can we do now? So, everyone, survival is the least that we can do. But then you're there going, you know what? If we can hit the ground running at the start of the season, and you're in and around the right end of the table, maybe come Christmas. Like if you followed the championship this year, every team was involved in something going into that Easter weekend. Like it was either going to be potentially going into the automatic promotions, or it was into the playoffs, or it could have been even relegation. You could have been literally in that middle line of you could get promoted, but you could actually still get relegated. It was insane. So I'd like to be in that middle as opposed to the bottom. And then if you're in the middle with our history now, you're there going, you know what?
We can do it.
I've said this to Mike in the past, and I've said it to as many friends. I was at Wrexham's when they first brought in the playoff format in the late 80s, I think it was. I was at a Wrexham game where we drew with, I think it was Lane and Wrexham at home, and we lost on the away leg. We have never won. We've never been promoted as a team in the playoff format currently. And I'm just thinking, if you want your Hollywood ending, from Rob and Ryan's perspective, it is you get in that playoff final for the championship to go into the Premiership.
Oh,
You're 10-0 down at half time, and you sneak it 11-10 in full time. That would be, if you could write that ending, it would be everything.
But did you see the Welcome to Wrexham episode this week? I'm assuming we've all seen it, and you mentioned it before. It came up about Hollywood and fairy tales, and and people moving on, and you can see that through that documentary, they are setting themselves up for success, because it'll be very embarrassing if it doesn't continue to go on. And I think that's a brilliant way of our owners putting themselves under pressure. They're telling the public, this is what we expect, this is what we're going to do. And I'm starting to actually believe that there's the old word, it's the Ted Lasso word, believe. I'm not saying we're going to be in the Premier League within 12 months or anything like that, but you know what? I'm starting to think it's possible, and it's possible within the next 2 to 3 years. You can feel it coming.
I wouldn't rule
I
out,
and
I wouldn't rule out this year. It's
I wouldn't either. But even I'm a bit like John on that one. Just hold that back a bit for a minute, because that would be unbelievable if we did. Right, it just would. We're the only team in the Championship never to be in the Premier League. Right, every single other team. Sorry, they've all been in the highest division. 2 of them have never been in the Premier League, but they've all been in Division 1. We haven't. We are now in uncharted waters. All right. So, yes, it's possible, but geez, it would be.
There's only four parachute payment clubs and Birmingham. So I reckon 5th and 6th is open and get a playoff spot.
And Leicester City look like they're going to be copping a decent points thing.
And Southampton have come down after 2 wins in the season. I reckon they're going to be mentally scarred. And Leicester are copping a 15-point fine.
Like that in the past, though, then.
Let's see who we buy. It'll all be who we buy. Let's have a look.
That will show intent, won't it? Yeah. That'll show the intent, how much they're willing to spend and get in. And if they can get Ben Davies to come in as centre back or even as a wing back, that'll be a real sign.
I think another Welsh. I was thinking against Postecoglou and
social media posts recently about our panache for buying older players. Like it is the Stephen Fletchers of the world, it is the James McLeans of the world, and stuff like that, where they are mid to late 30s in some instances. And you're there again, well, I can understand why they do that. You need that blend. Like, I think you can't suddenly go, you know what, we are not, it's not possible for us yet to buy potential diamond as a 21-year-old from a lower league or overseas. Like we are open to overseas markets now. And I think us playing in America in the past and Australia currently this year, you're just there, like, in my head, I'm thinking, you want to find that diamond of a Timmy Cahill.
Or, I'm about to say Timmy Cahill.
Timmy Cahill, or Landon Donovan style striker that is they're hard as nails. They're going to score goals. They are grunt players. They're not fancy. I don't think we're at the level where we can get your Ronaldos of the world, that it can be the finesse players. That doesn't fit into our system.
No.
And we're not that yet. But we need those players who are going to do the hard yards and get games across the line. And whether it is because they're used to getting kicked up the arse in games in Europe or whatever, like some of the tougher teams, tougher leagues in Europe. Who knows? And like there's the potential, hopefully, when you look at Sydney FC, when you're looking at Melbourne Victory, when we're over in Wellington as well, that there's going to be Parky's going to have people looking for, is there any potential there for someone that we can bring in?
Nope.
Bring through. That may be the case, but
See, this is interesting.
Look.
John and I had a bit of a discussion, but we were swapping ideas the other day on social media, and up came the Ange. Well, I mentioned Ange. I think it started off with Parky, and I don't want to be seen to be anti-Parky. I think he's been absolutely amazing. No one's ever done back to back to back to back. So you've got to give the bloke 100%. But I'm starting to think now we are getting to the stage where if we do want to get to the championship, someone like Ange is going to attract players that Parky won't. And I think that's the next step. We've got to not get upset that we're not saying, Parky, you're no good. We're saying, well, and throughout the whole series this time, it's been about how we've had to get rid of players because once you go up to a different level, you need a different level of player. Do we need a different level of coach? Not that he hasn't been successful. He's been brilliant. Absolutely.
I think he's earned his season.
Do we need someone now that can attract those players that will take us there? I don't know, but it's... the way that Wrexham's moved so quickly, I think they need to start thinking like this. And when I watch the documentary, I think it's setting us up to start thinking like this. They keep saying dream, think about what we can do, what's possible. So, as I said, not anti-Parky whatsoever. I can't stand all these people who get on there saying Parky can't do this and do that and do the other. He's been brilliant. To get us to where he's got is amazing. Is the next step to get a coach with a name that will bring in players that Parky couldn't. I'm putting that on the table. I think that's...
I'd like to see the most important thing for me for Parky this season coming is maybe a better plan B. Because everyone sort of knows about the 60-minute mark in every game, he's going to make his substitutions. Generally speaking, barring injuries and bits and pieces like that. It's very rare that he will change the formation or the players that are in the starting lineup before the 60th minute. And Stevie Fletcher used to come on and hopefully score a couple of cracking goals or whatever. In the Championship, you're playing teams with managers and players that will suss you out very, very quickly. Suss out what you're going to do. So it's even having a plan C. Is it something that it's those players that you can have on your bench that are going to change? It's cliche, change a game, and if it doesn't work, you got to change something else. Is it what can you do in that space? Like we've got great players that have got us to where we are now. It'll be interesting to see from my perspective how Palmer and Mullin fit into the Championship environment. I think Mullin wasn't 100% this last season. No. He's had a rough run, and obviously in earlier episodes of Welcome to Wrexham, he had such bad. I don't think anyone knew how bad his back was.
No.
Until the series. Like we knew he'd had an operation, but we didn't realise for 2 seasons he'd been running on painkillers, sort of thing, to get through games. How that's affected him will be interesting. Hopefully he's going to have a full pre-season and no collisions with goalkeepers in pre-season friendlies.
We won't break him down.
And he's going to be giving Parky a dilemma for a starting striker with Smith. Like Rodriguez, I know he gets a lot of shit from a lot of people about, no, he hasn't scored many goals. He hasn't done what Ollie did when Ollie joined the club in the lower leagues. But he obviously was doing something, if it was a foil for Smith or whatever, like his movement was causing problems, like him, when he didn't score off the penalty, but then luckily hit the rebound. It was just, I think every Wrexham supporter, no matter, there's people that hated him, but when he was taking that penalty, I think the vast majority said, just score it, because that's going to take people off your back. Again, he's going to have a pre-season, because I don't think he had a full season of fitness before he joined the club. It'll be interesting to see how he hits the ground running in pre-season and challenges for those starting lineups. It's so interesting. Like, I'm glad we got promoted, because I think Cleworth would have gone if we didn't.
Yep.
Because he should be in the Welsh squad that's training. Maybe not start. He's certainly not maybe starting lineup Welsh team at the moment. but I think he should be part of that environment because he's good enough. Like he went from a player that my mates were rating and I didn't quite see because I think he's still too small. As in, he was a weaker player on the ball, but this last 2 seasons he's developed. He's scoring goals now. He's solid. He's no longer having to be led by the centre backs. So he's actually knowing where he needs to be and do stuff. Like he's got potential at the moment in our team. He's the local diamond that could go further. Like everyone else at the moment can play for our team and get us to the Premiership. He can play higher than Wrexham, and that's no disrespect to Wrexham. Like he's got that talent if he continues to listen to the right people. And I think Parky has got that man management style to sort of keep the bloke grounded and just keep him working. And the James McLeans will probably batter him if he starts getting too much.
I've got to say though, I don't see Parky stealing any Australian players, and I mean, looking at it from our perspective at the moment, the A-League is a shambles. It really is. Like there's no sugarcoating this. It's a good league, but they could do so much more. They could bring
badly
in,
run.
Yeah, it is. It's badly run. They could bring in. They've had every opportunity to bring in promotion and relegation system into, football and stuff like that within Australia. They could easily do it, but they don't. They just recently released a championship league, but it's a tournament. So it's not even like you can't go into that league and then work your way into the A League. But we look at the days when we had what I like to call the Australian golden era of football, when the days when you had Harry Kewell, Mark Schwarzer, Tim Cahill, Miles Jedden, just all these really big name players that played in the Premier League. But as it is today, the highest player we've got in the Football League within England that's from Australia is Harry Suter, who plays for Sheffield United. That's it.
You know my theory on that? I've got a theory on everything.
Go on.
Ooh, okay.
We took on the Dutch. We took on the Dutch system, and all the Dutch people came in and told us how to play, and you weren't allowed to play outside the Dutch system, and therefore we can't go and play in the Premier League because they don't play like the Dutch. We got overcoached. Over all the people that were any good always went through all these academies, and they were told to play this way, and they outcoached all the players coming through, and now we've got no one that can think outside the box. Sorry, that's my little thing that really annoys me about Australian football.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I ran a soccer club for a while, and all our great players were never great again. They just got overcoached, and it was a system that killed a lot of potential really good players. Like it makes a good player very good, but it doesn't make a great player excellent.
Yeah, exactly. So, and whilst we can do well in the like your World Cup or things like that, Australia have done pretty well over the last decade or so within that system by their standards. But when you're looking at things like the English Football League and all that sort of stuff, what our talent is producing at the moment is nowhere near enough to be on the radar. Like you'll find a lot of people from Australia, if they were going to England, will be either League One, League Two, or National League. And I doubt that an Aussie would leave to go to the National League. Doesn't make much sense. There's probably not as much money as there is within the A-League. But I like the standard. I think the standard within Australian A-League at the moment is more so aligned with the National League, or even maybe National League North and South, with the quality and stuff. It's because it's just, I don't see Wrexham coming here and saying, "Oh, he's good, I'll take him." I see Wrexham come in here and just laying a complete fucking smackdown on all three teams. So
I think it's a perfect opportunity. I'm not as across the A-League as yourselves, but it's an opportunity to. Yeah, they might not be the greatest players. There might be something, And if you can go, you know what, if you can get them over for 6 months and play like, I'm not sure what the situation is with Wrexham now with regards to reserve team football or anything like that, because it seems to flit in and flit out depending on what league you are and what you can do. Is it under 21 football or is it reserve team football or whatever it is? But if you can maybe identify those younger players and get them over for a 3 month stint, and okay, you go, you know what, we're going to bring you over in January, so you're coming straight from the Aussie heat, straight into the cold of the UK. Let's see how you do in those hard yards, because in the early games of the Premiership, if you remember, a lot of overseas players, and let's say South American players, the first half of the season would be unstoppable to play against. But as soon as that first frost hit the ground, suddenly that was a game changer. Like they weren't as effective, and they weren't used to the environment. It is the climate environment of it. Like you want to blood them and go, you know what, let's see what you have got. You look as if you got something. Let's see what you've got. Let's see how you do in a league where you're playing reserve team football. You're going to be against the old guard. You're going to be against the guys coming towards the end of the career that see you as a young blood, and they're going to boot the crap out of you. You're a nippy striker. You're a quick winger. We're going to hack you and hack you and hack you, and see if you've got what it takes to keep on going. And I think like you look at again, I'll go back to the Timmy Cahills of the day and the Schwartzes and the like. Harry Kewell aside, I think he was just a bit of a dirty player that just didn't like getting kicked himself. I'm not a fan of that type of play, but Cahill could dish it and take it. He played for Millwall for a reason. Millwall, they're a tough team. They're a rough team.
Got a head on him too.
Right in. He'd have fitted straight in. He would have given everything. They'd love him because he was a tough nut to crack. He would give everything, and that's what our opportunity is coming over here, is finding a player that will potentially play well for us if we do pick that player to join the club, but also it's the potential of the move on. We're still going to be a club that probably, like they said in the documentary recently, like we need to be a club that can find those rough diamonds, hopefully blood them into a team that's successful, but if not, sell them and actually get our money back. And it's the opportunity to do things like that in America and Australia, which not many other British teams have done at the moment. They've gone over going, look, we're Tommy big boy sort of thing coming in. We're Man United. We've got Ronaldo. We've got Giggs. We've got Beckham. We've got that. We don't need you. You need us to support your MSL, the A League or whatever. We've got the opportunity.
Sir Beckham now, by the way.
Yeah. I heard that the other day.
Going back to the standard, and Chris's point about he thinks our standard's crap. I actually took a player to play for Wrexham, which we probably haven't talked about. Last time I went over, so I was president of just a local club called Normanhurst, but this guy was good and he played for Australian schoolboys. So I took him over. He ended up playing for Wrexham. This is before they got taken over, so it's the Wrexham before the takeover. And he played against a striker from Blackburn. We played against Blackburn in pre-season. Blackburn had just been relegated from the Premier League, so we played Blackburn before they played in the Championship after they were in and he marked their £4.5 million striker and never had a shot on goal with him. And so we've got players. It's just they then need to be coached and trained in the way. Now, he was only 19, so he was young enough. And he ended up, because he was only 19, they didn't take him on to be the central defender, but he got loaned out to a few other clubs when he was there. So I think there's a lot of potential to swap players between the things, but you've got to get them over there early enough so that they get trained in the English way rather than going over there after the Australians have got their claws into them and undertrain them, overtrain them, whatever you want to say.
Well, it's true.
We do have talent in Australia. There's a lot of people play.
It goes back to Mike's point before as well, doesn't it? Where the owners have come at this in a completely different angle to previous owners of other teams currently in the UK system, the Premiership system, where, like I said before, like they've tended to go to these markets in America, in Asia, maybe Australia as well, where they're promoting their brand. We're doing it differently, I think the fact that they've tapped into the American market where you've got hearts and minds, it's a cliched hearts and minds thing where you've got a lot of people interested in the club from a community perspective. And if their kids are good enough playing soccer, playing football or whatever, it's no longer a case of, the golden standards of the Man Uniteds, the Liverpools, the Arsenals, the Spurs, or whatever of the world from a UK perspective. You know what? It's not taking anything away from Wrexham, but it's an achievable goal. You know what? That is a team that would suit where I'm from. Like it's something that I can relate to. It is not the high. It's not not the starry skies of London or anything like that. It's a team where I could go in, be part of the community, and be accepted into it, and be encouraged and nurtured. And they've, the American soccer system has got such a huge pool of players that it is essentially still untapped by a lot of British teams. That why can't we do that? And the same with Australia. Like there's only a few trickling through from Australia historically that come through. Back to the Craig Johnson era and the stories about him through all the way. Like it's still untapped markets. Like we can't compete from a brand perspective at the moment. But you look at Asia. Asia have got good players. Like you got the Suns of the world that are coming through now. Why can't we?
I think most of our players end up going in there too, but to the Asian, like the J League and stuff as well. I honestly, I think we've touching base with what you said. It makes a stark contrast with Wrexham, and it's one of the reasons why I've always loved Wrexham and why Wrexham has really just ingrained itself in me is that Aussies in particular are seen as like the Aussie battler, right? Like we were the convicts of the UK system sent to Australia, and we had to fight from day dot for everything that we have. Wrexham, I feel, are very, very similar because when what they've been put through within the UK system, and the whole, with the Gresford colliery and losing the whole industry through there, like Wrexham have it ingrained in them as well to be a battler, and never say die.
Yep.
So this is where I see the similarity, and this is why I think Australia could be a good market for Wrexham in particular. Is we do have that attitude that it's in our blood. Right, let's face it, it's in our blood. Anyone can say their teams never say die, blah blah blah, but it's within the lifeblood of the community or the country that they're a battler. That's what they do. It's just unfortunate that me personally, I don't see any current Aussie talent that will be good enough to compete over there in that league. But that said, we could easily find someone and build them up. And you said, so we could easily find someone and build them up, and then they'll be playing in that league. It's just I can't see who.
But they're not looking at tomorrow. They're looking at 10 years.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head when you talked about battlers and wanting it. What I feel there's a little bit of a difference between Wrexham and Australia. And when I talk about Australia, I talk about Australia generally. It's a much bigger place than Wrexham. But Wrexham is a tough town. If you don't play football, there's not much else that you can do. You got to leave Wrexham and go somewhere else you're gonna die to get in that team. It's that tough. And I noticed that when Dan went over. He went over there as an Aussie from the upper North Shore of Sydney, and he was a better player than most other players. But he didn't want it enough. It's why he didn't stay. He didn't die and kill for it. That when you get there, when you get over to Britain, it is kill or be killed when it comes to football. It is your life. And it's funny, you sort of say we do battle, and we do, but soccer in Britain, in a town like Wrexham, that's what the documentary was all about. It is the town. It's how the town operates. It's what it looks for. Its heart is in the team. You don't get that same thing, I don't think, in Australia. Maybe an AFL follower will say I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I've never seen the passion here in teams, especially the A-League, that you get over there, and that is a difference. And passion's not skill; it's actually ticker.
Aussie rules.
It's ticker, and Wrexham's got it in shitloads. When I did a little ad the other day about Wrexham Lager, that's what I said. I said, this is an Aussie beer because it's the chip on the shoulder. It's the the Aussie backer.
We get it in other sports, like Simon just bought. We Aussie rules and things like that. We do
Aussie
get it
rules does I think get it a bit.
Not so much in Sydney, but down south.
And that's why
it's a religion. It's a religion in Victoria.
Melbourne.
It's a religion in Victoria.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, my sort of daughter-in-law is quite senior in the AFL mob thing, and actually, the funny thing was she knew Wrexham was coming out months before I did as well because she works for Marvel. I think my point, the bugger.
I think my point in general was that it's just in the people itself. It's not like football has been so badly ran in Australia, not AFL, but just soccer. It has been. I hate calling it soccer, but for all intents and purposes, it's just been so badly ran. And they've had so many opportunities, golden opportunities, especially through the golden era of those days of Tim Cahill and Harry Kewell and all that. They've had those opportunities to actually make something of it, but they just don't ever really capitalize on it. And this has been part of the problem with soccer within Australia. So yes, I do agree with you there with regards to soccer, football, but it is within the very people of Australia, a majority of the people.
I get it, and that's why I was careful how I did that. Actually, do you know what? You could do a whole episode on what's on Australian football.
Oh, we could.
I've got a million things going through my head, but I will make one comment about it in Australia with football. And the problem is that AFL belongs to one channel and rugby league belongs to the other, and the other one doesn't have any money, and football doesn't have any money. It's down to money and who owns the media channels. That's the problem with football.
I think a little bit of the states. Yeah, I think the states have a little bit to do with it as well. They haven't allowed a proper Australian structure to develop.
There is that history. But when they did have the chance to promote the A-League, and they did, and it did go well for a couple of years, but it was the money. They didn't promote it well enough. And it started. And when we did have a couple of down years, it kept going instead of bouncing back. That's just my humble opinion, but it is something that I have lots of discussions on. And Australia is the only country in the world that has three major sports. And we're one of the very few that football's not number one, right? Like AFL in Melbourne's number 1, 2, and 3. And then you got rugby league in Sydney that beats football. So football, there's not many countries in the world where football isn't number one. And
but
that's
it's
another
certainly,
bit of an
it's
issue.
still number one in the juniors. It's still all
kids,
the juniors play.
And
it is, give it another half generations or even another generation. And I think the numbers are starting to swap.
What you're seeing is it'd be good in the women's. Look how good we are in the women's. It's happening in the women's, right? And the women's are getting TV exposure and they're getting 50,000 crowds and da-da-da. But they never supported the A-League. I think. Anyway, look, it's just we're sort of going off track a bit, but I've always thought it's a lack of financial support has not helped.
What I've seen as an outsider from Wales and Wrexham moving to Australia in the last couple of decades, that I've seen that the AFL seems to be a well-oiled machine with regards to they've embedded, AFL ovals in New South Wales. Like historically, Victoria was AFL, New South Wales was NRL, and then you had your soccer and you had your rugby union. Rugby union was always the private school, and they've had a shocker of a thing where all their best talent goes to the NRL now or to the AFL, depending on what position they are and stuff. But AFL seem to have been more future thinking with regards to getting that the grassroots level stuff in, with getting ovals in and getting kids interested in that sport. NRL have been caught a little bit short. They've now got what's his name from the horse racing? I can't remember what his name is now. He's the chairman of NRL now, but like they're being aggressive with the way that they are promoting children's level NRL to get them through to the that senior pool of players that they get playing the code in the end. football or the soccer over here is always like it does come down to money, like Mike says, but it's maybe not having the right people forward thinking enough. How do we break that market? Like you can actually break the market from a physical perspective, going, you know what, if you're a small person, NRL is not going to be for you. AFL really isn't going to be for you. It's soccer because you got a chance of surviving in that game and flourishing in that game. It's simple as that to a certain extent. You know what, it's actually more user friendly from a parent's perspective, looking at a code to put their children into from a physical nature of the sport perspective. And just getting enthusiasm. Is it getting the old players involved, talking to communities if they don't already? Like, is it engagement? Is it just, what is it that's missing maybe in Australian soccer?
Promotion and relegation. That's what's missing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys saw my episode where we actually were talking about the Australian Championship League that they were releasing. I actually said at the time, how good would it be? Like our local team here, the Kelmscott Kangaroos, right? How good would it be? I could go down the road, watch these boys play in like a completely lower league, but know that they have a shot to move up and up and up and up into the A-League. And it would just change the whole face of the game completely. You would get more, I think you would get more sponsorship investment coming in because people want to be part of those stories of glory and coming to, like, rather than just having, Perth Glory is the team within WA, Sydney FC is the team within, Sydney, all that sort of stuff. Rather than just have that, like,
the local state
I
leagues.
agree. I agree with what
yeah.
you're saying. I agree with what you're trying to achieve. But there's one big problem. So let's say you said in New South Wales, you get all the country towns in New South Wales. You've got Orange, Bathurst, Tamworth, It'd be a great league, right? Every town would have 5,000 crowd, and the best team would go into the. So that would make a bit of sense. But two problems. Number one, the tyranny of distance in Australia is a killer.
Yeah.
To try and, like, the Northern Territory's got 3 teams. South Australia's probably got 4 viable. So that's one problem that you've got to get around. Number 2 is the historical nature of football in Australia, and it's still carrying over, and it's a bit of the ethnic thing. They have a hell of a lot of say, and they've got all the money, and as soon as you start to develop that second level, they take over, which is what's just happened in the championship. So you've got a political problem, and then you've got the tyranny of distance. So we need people to bring those two things together. We need but to solve those problems, to get the right person, you need money, because you need to pay them the dollars. It's money. But I agree. I'm not saying you've said, I agree with what you're trying to achieve, but to achieve it, it's money.
But now that you're famous and on the BBC, you'd know Rob and Ryan, wouldn't you? Can you just give them a call and?
I'm not quite nervous.
I think it's interesting if you've been watching the updates with the ground, with they've been relaying the turf on the field, and they're doing a weave now that is a multi-sport field structure. And like they're going from, historically, we did have a Super League, so an NRL equivalent franchise that was based out of Wrexham for a few seasons. Right. North Wales is screaming out for a professional rugby union team to like, as far as Wales is concerned, or at least South Walian rugby stops just outside of Cardiff, and no one else will play. Like, it's looking as if it could be a multi-purpose venue with, I don't know if they'll ever go down the lines of what Newcastle tried to do with the Jets and the Knights.
Well, they're putting in the thing for the rugby, whatever you call the bars or whatever. They're putting in the infrastructure for that, aren't they? Okay. I saw somewhere.
I knew it was to do with the turf, that it was it's one of those synthetic hybrid pitches. That...
Oh yeah, but they're setting up the goalposts. The rugby goalposts are going to be inset. They're going to have them set up to go. Well,
it used to be, it used to be one of the better grounds for rugby union. Like, they used to host Welsh Rugby Union internationals up there. It was never one of the main events and stuff like that. They have played like the likes of Romania back in the past, and even the NRL World Cup when it was over in the UK. Most recently, Australia actually played out of Wrexham.
Played there, yeah.
So that they've had the codes there in the past, like it should be, if it wants to be viable, which is what they're looking at as a venue, it can't just be the football. It could be the men's team, it may be the female team as well. Eventually, you never know. But you need to have it as a venue that is used 7 days a week in some way, shape, or form to generate revenue. Again, that comes back to the club, which hopefully pushes this forward in the right direction. If it's creating the academies or buying in players or whatever, it's an interesting time.
Well, lads, what we're going to do is going to end it on that note right here. Because I know we're all Aussies. We've got to get some sleep. It's a work day tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh, not for us. We're all good.
Yeah, long weekend. Don't you have a long weekend this weekend?
Not a work day here.
No, we got long weekend, mate.
We just had our
King's
long
birthday.
weekend.
Yeah. I just got to say, I was on mute. I hadn't realised. Of course, you're talking about stadium to a state that now doesn't have a government because we can't build a stadium. So, stadium building is very important, and having it useful for more than one sport is very important. So,
and I think before you sign off, Chris, all I'd say is we did start off talking about York Lane. So these discussions that we had here, I can't wait till everybody comes to York Lane and we can continue all these conversations with all the supporters.
It'll be something else. It really will be something else. And just bringing it back around to York Lane. York Lane, which is near, I think if it's near the Sydney Harbour Bridge, isn't it? So
it's next door to Wynyard Station.
Wynyard Station.
Wynyard Station. There we go. So guys, get out to York Lane if you're in Sydney for the game. I will be there. Mike will be there. Pretty sure John will be there. Simon won't be there, but
I'll be in Melbourne. I'm going to
Put
be so
a photo
jealous
of you
of
up
York
on the
Lane.
wall.
But I'm looking forward to it. Be sure to jump in, say hello. I will definitely be there throughout the day as well. So let's get as many people there as possible. Let's break a few Aussie laws the way Aussies are meant to do. So especially the old liquor licensing rules. So it's going to be a good one.
Anyway, we can get on Channel 9.
Leave it to me, Mike.
Yeah.
Great to chat to you both. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
That was awesome.
Appreciate
guys.
the opportunity to have a chat.
Thank you, and we will see you in July. Looking forward to it.
Lane.
Cheers, guys.
15.
All right. Bye. Oh, yeah, nah, this is Rousey's Wrexham Roundup. She'll be right, mate. Well, that was Mike and John from York Lane in Sydney. Whew.
That was fun. That was fun.
That was pretty good. I mean, geez, it's great when we get to talk to people. Like, I love talking to people from Wrexham, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you get some Aussies on, we just end up shooting the shit for God knows how long that was. Oh, geez, man, us Aussies, mate, we'll talk an ass off a donkey if we get the opportunity, right? Oh dear, but no, that was a solid episode. I bet you're looking forward to Sydney, to Melbourne.
Oh, I am looking forward to Sydney. I'm jealous, you bastard. You're gonna have so much fun. But yeah, I'm dead set looking forward to Melbourne. It's going to be a blast.
I think it'll be good regard. I mean, John's going to be there, as you said.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good regardless of like whether you're in Melbourne or Sydney. I think both events are just going to be absolutely top notch killer. Melbourne is obviously the home of sport within Australia, so it's going to be, I mean, and they were the first to announce it too, dude. Like, they were all on that shit. So they're obviously quite proud of it.
I'm looking forward to going to my old hometown and catching up with the fam and some old mates and some new ones, all the new Wrexham mates too. So looking forward to it.
Mate, we'll have to get all your posts and stuff. We'll have to share it all with the group.
Oh, yeah.
And in particular, our little Patreon, which you've actually joined. How are you finding that these days? It's an interesting little group.
Yeah, it's a fun little group on Discord.
We love it, and I love my rowdy army. We used to call them fuckheads, you know. And they were so devastated when I changed the name. It's just so devastated, but now you're a part of it, and we're just going to give it a quick plug here, guys. We do give back for being a member. Basically, we give you early access every single episode. You'll get early access on both YouTube and on Patreon. But to be part of that, you got to be part of the Discord, which is a fans only Discord. You get discounted merch. You get shout outs every single week. Now by me, I'm giving the shout out. So I'm just going to give our executive producers a real good up here. Mad Owl, Not PC, Brian, Welsh Techie, Sarah and Anthony. Guys, I love you. That is amazing. You are top tier supporters. You get all the extra premium stuff. And obviously, without disregarding what the other guys do as well. Drew, Ben, Vicente, Ryan, Neb, Mark, Deandra, Anthony, John, Jake, the Wrexham Texan, Will, Aaron, and Josh, the local pundit, one of my good friends. Thank you for being members as well. If you want to be a part of that, links will be in the description down below. I know, it's probably past your bedtime. We got to get the nurses out there and to tuck you in, hey?
Yes. It's that time of night down under on the west coast. On the east coast, actually, coast of my own. You're on the west. I'm on the east. I know where I am.
Still early days here, man. So I'm about to go hit the good old weed.
I'm about to go hit the pillow. So, right, you hit the weed, I'll hit the pillow.
There we go. I might actually go rewatch the episode of or the latest episode of
It was a beauty. It really was, wasn't it?
Oh, dude. I watched it on Friday night when it came out. And I tell you what, man. Oh, that Arthur Massey thing, that really got me.
Yeah.
I think I've cried before on certain things, like I can admit that, but this really had me just like, I've never had tears streaming down my face. I was just like, it was really touching. And did you find it interesting that the whole thing with Mullen at the end, they're saying his story's not yet written. So maybe there's a bit of a comeback for Mullen. Well, you never know.
Well, there's still a chance for him, isn't there? I mean, he hasn't had a pre-season for 2 years, so you got to give him the summer, which means I would have thought we will see him in Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah, well, we will. I'm pretty sure we will. I don't think he's going to be leaving the team. I think he's going to be given a chance to prove himself in the championship. But it may be like a bit part player, like Fletcher was. Last 20 minutes he comes on, does his thing, see how he goes. You never know. This whole Mullen debate is probably worth an episode in itself, I think. So rather than keep you up, we'll let the nurses attend to you and wheel you away.
Aged care facility.
Sorry, this is just so much banter for me because I've got someone with silver hair. It's like I could just go. Mate,
someone with hair. Did you say hair? Oh, silver hair. Yeah.
Oh, spot on. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, massive thank you. I know it's a long one today, but we will see you guys next time. Hopefully we'll have a guest. If not, it's just going to be me and Simon talking shit. So that's going to be fun. And we'll see you guys next time on Rousey's Wrexham Roundup. Bye.